Welcome to Back Issues. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
And we're going to see how today goes. Like, seriously?
Girl, let's do it.
Because we are going to be doing Doom Patrol Volume 1, Brick by Brick, written by Gerard Way. Yes, the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. Wanted to write comic books. And this is not his first. He also wrote Umbrella Academy and a couple of other things. But, like, this is something he's always wanted to write. It also is art by Nick Darrington, whose art is perfectly paired with this book, perfectly paired with this madness.
Perfectly fitted.
It's like a type of art you've never experienced before. I love this book. I really do. Which makes it so weird because I'm so like, this is not going to go well. Because this book is so like...
Is it complicated or weird?
It's weird.
Okay.
Am I gonna cry?
No.
Okay.
You're not going to cry. I pretty much can guarantee you're not going to cry with this one. It's just that Doom Patrol in and of itself is just like, look, here it is. Accept it or not.
Where does Doom Patrol come from?
Doom Patrol began actually in 1963. It comes out originally in a book called My Greatest Adventure. It's called that for a while during its run before finally they're like, no, we're going to call it Doom Patrol. It's Doom Patrol.
Okay.
It was created by Arnold Drake with help from Bob Haney, or Haney. Don't start.
Bob Haney.
Damn it!
Thank you, Ethan.
So, originally the team was Niles Calder, Elastigirl, Robot Man, and Negative Man. So we had this 4-person team. Eventually it would grow and change, and over the years the roster has changed here and there, right? In September of 1963, X-Men debuts.
Okay.
Doom Patrol features these 3 characters. They're all freaks, they're considered by society, and they're led by a man in a wheelchair.
Ooh.
So the question's always been, who took from who? Because back in the day, lots of writers and lots of artists worked for both houses.
Yeah.
So it's feasible that Arnold Drake could have been, just talking about a story to someone. Yeah. They went over, they're like, hey, Stan, check out this crazy story they're doing over there.
Right.
It could also just be that just the climate created these 2 stories simultaneously.
Or someone was a big FDR fan.
They 2 people were, obviously.
Yeah, at the same exact time.
I mean, here's the big difference. Niles Calder is not a mutant, and he has hair.
Oh. Well, that's not even remotely the same then.
Exactly.
Also, he could walk if he wanted to. He's just lazy.
No. But, so there's been some controversy about that. The fact is, at the end of the day, Doom Patrol, when it came out, was kind of a departure for DC. It was less idealized. It was a little more like realistic problems. Like, having these people who were not loved by the world they lived in was kind of more Marvel's bag.
Yeah. Okay.
But they wanted to give it a shot. And then X-Men came out. And X-Men did way better than Doom Patrol.
Yeah, because I barely have heard of Doom Patrol.
Doom Patrol has been around for a while. Like, honestly, they've had, like, random runs where they'll have, like, someone come in and do something. In the very original version, it lasts, I think, until 1968. When the team ends, it's one of the first books where they killed everybody. Oh, they just killed the team. They're like, no.
No, we're done.
Wow.
No, they're dead. You can't have it anymore. You could cancel my book? Fine.
It's over then. Yeah. Nobody else can use them.
And then later on, they end up...
I assume they came back.
They came back in different incarnations.
They were all zombies, though.
No, the only character that ever remains the same in every Doom Patrol, or not remains the same, but is always on a team, is Robot Man. Robot Man is always on the team.
Because he's a robot.
He's very iconic.
He's cool.
He's not a robot. Well, he's a robot, but he has a human brain.
So he's a robot man.
He's
a cyborg.
He's literally a robot.
No, he's literally, it's like, this dude got in a car accident. Cliff Steele he was a race car driver, and he got into an accident, and then they saved his brain, and he put it in a robot body. And now he's Robot Man.
Now he drives robot cars.
So he's like RoboCop?
Yeah, except he's like more human in a way. Okay. Like, he still remembers everything. And
okay, so it's just literally a human in a robot's body.
He's more human, like, emotion-wise
right.
and thought-wise, but less human
physically.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. But inevitably, a bunch of writers try to bring it back. It's not until one of them tries twice, And by the second time that they're going through the run, DC's watching the numbers plummet, and they're like, you're off the book.
That's it.
And that's when they bring in Grant Morrison. And Grant Morrison pens what ends up being one of the best versions of Doom Patrol ever, which can be found in this omnibus right here. We're not going to cover this today. But it is important to know that one of the issues in here is one of the first issues that Gerard Way ever read of Doom Patrol.
Ah.
When he was a young boy, he was in his local comic book store. He picked up an issue of it. He saw superheroes in a group therapy session, and it changed his perception on superheroes forever.
Interesting.
Also noted, Gerard Way has a big thing about mental health.
Okay.
Having suffered from varying degrees of mental health, he is an advocate for it, and you'll see it in this book. And this book itself helped him to kind of get through it and understand that you can do something more with comics. So maybe we'll do this someday, but we're not going to do it today. And the reason we're not going to do it today is because come the end of January, I think, or whatever, there's going to be this super cool crossover event thingy. I don't want to call it an event. Between the Doom Patrol and the Justice League.
We're a little afraid of the word event.
Exactly. Called Milk Wars. So I thought we'd catch you guys up by doing brick by brick.
Now, if you're a huge Doom Patrol fan and someone says Milk Wars, are you like, oh man, the Milk Wars, I know what this is about? Or are you as mystified by that title as me?
Alright, so here's the thing about Doom Patrol.
Is there like a substance called milk and everyone's trying to get it?
No, it's probably... Food's a big thing, especially in this book.
Okay.
Food's a big thing.
Just any food.
Food.
All the people that are fighting the Milk Wars are lactose intolerant, right?
You fit right in, Ben.
Yes! I found my people.
In Morrison's Doom Patrol, you need to understand, he did a lot of parody. There's parodies of Marvel books. X-Force, there's a parody of that in one of the issues in there. But at the end of the day, that was kind of the true nature of Doom Patrol. And in fact, Arnold Drake said that Grant Morrison's came closest to capturing what he wanted to do with Doom Patrol in the first place. And Morrison, when he wrote his, because he's Grant Morrison, was like, I'm going to make it based off surrealist art and Dada art and the cutout art of William S. Burroughs and all this crazy stuff. And you feel it in there.
Yeah.
And you feel it a little in here. So we're just gonna go through the story as best that we can.
So are these characters in the DC universe? Or
yes, and they have interacted with DC characters in the past, and they will interact with them once again.
All right.
But yes, they are there, which is kind of interesting, especially with things going on right now with Doomsday Clock, because there's a certain character in here who's interesting, because we'll get there.
Okay. Who's the Mummy?
He's not a mummy, it's Negative Man. He's supposed to invoke the Invisible Man.
Ah, okay. He's the Invisible Man. Well, I thought he was a mummy.
Well,
he's got raps, he's a mummy.
Exactly. Okay, so first of all, this was the image you saw for Doom Patrol when it was coming out.
Burrito? Or what is that?
I think it's a falafel.
Oh, it's a falafel, okay.
It's a gyro.
Ooh, a gyro.
I see.
Wait, how do you say gyro?
It is, and it's going to come into play. Okay.
Really?
It is.
It's better if it's on the front page.
So out of the gate, Gerard Way decides that he's going to introduce us to a character by the name of Casey Brink. Casey Brink is a optimist. She's got a sunny disposition. She has a roommate that she lives with. She has a cat by the name of Lotion. She is an EMT driver. She's very, very good at it, and her partner is Sam. And they essentially have a beat up old ambulance, but she does her best because she's just between saving a life and letting them wither and die is me driving as best as that I can. She's just yeah.
She found a purpose.
Yeah, exactly. She has a good time. She does what she can. They do a lot of high fives. They're a cute little team.
She even wears racing gloves.
Yeah, she's driving.
That's awesome.
She's driving this vehicle. I mean, this guy's probably fine, but she's still.
But you never know.
I skinned my knee.
Exactly.
No, you're having a heart attack. I have to save you. I have to drive faster than I've ever driven.
Exactly. She also likes video games. She's pretty good at them.
Sweet.
She's just a fun character, but she's also kind of doesn't have her life together in a way. You know what I mean? She does this. She does it really well, and everything else is kind of okay. Her and her roommate have this bizarre relationship, but just
And Lotion is just fat.
No, he's very thin cat, and she even her roommate.
Well, she's taking care of her cat then.
Yeah, she's
or she's not feeding it, and it's too thin.
Whatever. But
I'm sorry. What is this book from? Are we talking early 2000s?
This just came out.
Oh wow. Okay.
This
right.
just we're still. This book is still going on.
Oh.
Okay. This is new.
I cover it on DC Fans Channel.
Oh.
we get this interesting like dialogue between Casey and her partner, and they're talking about life in general and like playing the game and just kind of the point of things in general. We learn that Sam's wife left him and his son and joined a cult.
Oh.
And so now they're alone, essentially, and just, like, he's struggling with that, obviously. And that's about the time, of course, we turn to the Yairo, or the hero. And we see that within it is a city of robots. Life's going on, essentially, there as he tosses it out. He doesn't complete it, which is, like, thank God, because there's this, apparently this city of robots within it. Don't forget, guys, we're dealing with a person who's looking to Grant Morrison's work, which is based off of surrealistic art.
Yeah. I'm gathering that. Okay.
I thought they were being metaphorical, like, look at this gyro, you could see, like, almost a city of robots in it, but there's a literal
I know, I said that when
city of robots.
Yeah, no, like, there's a literal city of robots, a fly lands on it, it's like Armageddon, they, like, forces are scrambled, and that's when we see that Robot Man himself is super teeny tiny and within this Greek sandwich.
Okay.
And,
how'd he get in there? I guess we'll find out.
No, we don't.
Oh.
Clearly the onions.
He's just there.
Oh. Okay.
Just
what part of the hero are they on? Are they in the meat?
I assume that they're in the meat based on where the fly is and based on where you see the fly's eye in the back there. Yeah. They're very tiny comparatively to this fly. Right. Robot Man hits a button which launches something, which we then see the garbage can in which the hero went in explode, thus cementing the fact that no, we were in fact in the sandwich.
Thank God Sam did not eat that sandwich.
Right? Otherwise Sam would have exploded.
Wow. So he blew up that whole city. It's all blown up.
Kinda.
Wow.
Look, it happens. All right, whatever.
So Robot Man also blew himself up.
No, he ends up being okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, they get a call that they got to jump in their ambulance. They hop in there. They realize the dispatch.
They don't call the police about the bomb that just exploded next to them?
No, there's no time. They're EMTs. It's just very important
work.
They
just do it from the road. They have the radio right there.
They gotta go. They just get in their ambulance and they drive. They realize that the dispatcher is different than who they normally have. And they're like, all right, whatever. They're like, listen, this doesn't matter. Like, that person has off tonight. We need you to go to this intersection. There's been a pedestrian hit and run kind of thing. You got to go and you got to help them.
Yeah.
And when they get there, there's nobody there except they see, like, staggering out of the alley, Robot Man. He discards his, like, cloak robe thing. And as he's staggering out, he gets hit by a garbage truck.
Oh, jeez.
Which is, like, filled with stuffed animals for some reason. And so basically Casey ends up grabbing all the pieces and, like, putting them in a box.
Aww.
And since it's not a person, she just takes it home.
Sure.
And Sam is just like, okay.
He's like, well, what are we going to tell dispatch? She's like, I don't know. We hit a robot. Whatever, man. Who cares?
Okay.
So
what happened to the person they were going to go save?
There isn't. Presumably, they were meant to be there because they were going to get Robot Man. It was like the future.
Oh, thank God! I thought Robot Man called in the dispatch.
No. We meet Casey's roommate, who's like a real he's just a real downer. He's just like he doesn't like her. He doesn't like her personality.
You came home with this box of scraps.
Yeah, exactly. He's annoyed about everything. She's behind on the rent, the whole thing, right? And that's when there's a knock at the door, and there's like a singing telegram girl there, and she sings a little song. And then throws this powder at the guy's face, and he explodes.
He explodes?
And then he explodes, and she's just like, "Oops."
What? What is happening?
Sings a happy birthday song, and then the guy explodes, and
there's like brains and stuff everywhere?
He like becomes cake or something. I don't know. But he explodes. He's gone. He's dead. He's dust, everybody. Ignore the roommate. Nobody liked him anyway.
Do they freak out?
Yeah, but like, how are you going to afford rent now?
Well, Casey's like, first of all, it's not my birthday. And she's just like, man, that's never happened before. Good thing I didn't throw it at you. Well, anyway, you probably need a roommate now, right? I'm going to move in.
What? No, you're not, crazy lady who makes people into cakes that explode.
Right? And she's just, essentially, she ends up letting her move in. And, like,
okay, but it wasn't her birthday.
No.
So, like, let's think this through. That person intentionally did that so they could move in with you.
Don't forget, Casey's an optimist.
You're right,
so
okay.
She's just like, okay.
How do you optimistically go about the fact that this person just died?
I don't...
a man just died.
Well, he became like cake and died, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe he was teleported and replaced with cake. It's nebulous. He's fine somewhere.
No, whatever. But...
This is in the DC universe.
Yeah.
So a man exploded into cake.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they explain this ever?
Not yet.
Okay.
This woman introduces herself as Terry Nunn. Terry mentions that she has some skills in putting robots together or whatever. It's like putting model kits together like she used to do when she was a kid. And she's like, but it's just bigger. I'll be fine. I'll just give it a shot.
Okay.
So she decides to give it a shot.
Yeah.
While this is going on, we're at the Rondo Inn. And there's like a business meeting going on between these like two like companies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Who turn out to be intergalactic space companies. Who are actually like intergalactic fast food companies.
Okay.
Which is where the gyro comes from.
No.
It's a space food.
No.
Oh.
I mean, it could have been, but no. And essentially, these two factions, the Vectra and the other guys, are both seeking out a limitless supply of meat.
Okay.
And the Vectra are like, don't worry, we've got a thing, we've got a pretty sweet lead that'll like give us an endless supply of stress-free meat. This is one of the main plot points in this, that's why I'm mentioning it.
Okay.
Food, everybody. Food.
Right.
Space food.
Right.
But food nonetheless.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. They need the meat for their fast food, their intergalactic fast food restaurant.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And they're hoping Earth will supply them with this meat.
They got a lead, and they're gonna
They're gonna follow that lead.
Then we see like ground control to Major Tom going on here. This is Larry Trainor. Larry Trainor, again, one of the original members of the Doom Patrol. He was a jet pilot. He went up into orbit. He got hit by radioactive waves, and his body got all messed up. Eventually, throughout various incarnations of this character, his body was joined with a negative spirit who has, like, consciousness, essentially, and can, like, leave his body. As of right now, he's completely torn away from it, but he's having, like, a fever dream right now about it.
Okay.
About the events. As it turns out, he's actually in, like, this marketplace, and, like, he's trying to get people to be negative around him because he's feeding off of the negative vibes from them. So he's, like, trying to get these people to fight.
Makes him stronger, or...
It helps to, like, sustain him so he doesn't, like, have, like... Essentially, he looks like he's going through withdrawal.
Ah, okay.
So
oh man, he's really gonna hate Casey,
right? Yeah. So Casey and Sandman actually end up getting called to pick him up because the cops don't want anything to do with him because they're like, I don't know what's going on with him. You can take him.
It's got to be some drug thing.
Exactly. So they pick him up and they're going to return home. Where when they come in, they will find that Terry has actually completed. You want to? That morning, Casey gets up and she goes into the bathroom and like one of her teeth feels weird and she pops it out. And when she pops it out, she notices there's a little note inside that says, "Good job."
What is happening?
So she literally has a tooth that she pulls from her mouth.
Yeah.
That's horrible because I've had nightmares.
She's had
like
a toothache and then she's like, bonk. And when she looks inside, she's like, oh, that's weird. And
and there's a little note inside.
Exactly. But then her roommate knocks on the door and she's like, check it out. I rebuilt the robot thing. And like, I've got his brain in a thing of eggs or milk and the cat's drinking out of it. And like, we'll plop it in at some point. But anyway, off you go. So she goes off, picks up Larry Trainor. And when they return...
She's wearing an entirely new outfit right now.
Well, yeah.
So she's no longer like a magical...
No, now she's something else.
Telegram girl?
Nope.
Now she works in an office or something.
Yeah. So
now she's a meter maid.
Yeah.
Before they return home, we find that Robotman's brain has been put back in and he's been reactivated by the Vectra, who are trying to find Casey Brink.
Okay.
And like Robotman, first of all, is just like very like discombobulated. Like he just came out of a sandwich and then he got hit by a truck and now he's been put back together.
He was also very small and now he's huge.
Exactly. Yeah. And Robotman's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. They're gonna kill him. He essentially ends up blowing a huge hole in Casey's wall.
Jeez.
So at the time that they like get the call that they have to go to Casey's house, even though they have a patient essentially, and she's like, well, we'll have to go there. And Sam's like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Sam's just like, all right.
What is happening?
I need my job, so I'll go along with this. Meanwhile, like Larry Trainor's in the back of the ambulance, like just puking up black bile and such.
Oh.
So like Sam's literally having like a hard day. He's just like, all right.
Can't we just go to the hospital, get rid of this guy?
Right, exactly. So like they get back, there's a huge like knockout drag out fight that's happened. There's like all these weird guys all over the place. Robotman's up and about. He and Negative Man run into each other and they're just like, dude, it's you. I can't believe it. What's going on? They embrace and try to start catching up in a sense. Meanwhile, Casey and Sam get called back to work, where they are reprimanded for taking the ambulance out when they weren't told to, essentially. Thus revealing that the dispatcher was not an actual dispatcher.
Okay.
And so they are both put on temporary leave, essentially, and an investigation is going on, so they're not going to get paid, and now they don't have a job anymore, and Casey's like, but I love driving, and Sam's just like, I'm going to go home.
Well,
because,
I'm done with this.
Yeah, this is all kinds of messed up.
I was wondering why they got called to her apartment for a hole getting blown in the wall.
Right?
Like,
no.
Why would you call an ambulance for that? But it's because the dispatcher was setting this all up.
Exactly.
Someone's pulling the strings.
Yeah. Someone is pulling the strings. And we're going to find out who's pulling the strings.
I would hope.
Casey, goes to shut the back of the ambulance, which is normally locked. And in doing so, she hears, someone singing. And she starts freaking out. She's like, what's going on? And she hears all these voices in her head. And she's just like, hey, no, it's totally cool. It's me, Danny. Don't worry about it. Just come on over and I'll take care of this for you. So she gets into the ambulance. And that's when the ambulance kind of falls apart. And she ends up in the Endless Cabaret, where she is greeted by Flex Mentalo.
No, that is Tarzan.
No, that is Flex Mentalo, who we have actually been sent by the population, the Flex Mentalo book. Oh. Flex Mentalo is a character that's created by Grant Morrison based off of the old Charles Atlas ads. Remember Charles Atlas?
Yeah, ads? Don't be a wimp, at the beach. Get, muscular and stuff.
That's exactly it. And so he created a character off of this. It wasn't until later on when they actually put out the Flex Mentalo trade that, so much time had passed, and a fan of the book sent it to the Charles Atlas company or told them about it, and they were like, whoa.
Hang on a second. You can't just do that.
So they tried to, sue him, or sue the company, and then the court was like, whoa, that's too much time has passed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You missed your chance. He's its own thing now.
That ship has sailed, man.
That is statute of
Sorry
limitations
you weren't
all
paying
over.
attention.
Exactly. So Flex Mentalo is there, which for fans of Doom Patrol, that means you know exactly where you are.
Yeah?
Yes.
I have no idea where we are. I'm very confused. Is this an alternate reality or dimension?
Kind of. So, all right.
Is she in the mindscape?
No, she's in Danny.
Oh, she's in who?
So in the Grant Morrison Doom Patrol, there was a character who was a sentient, urban street by the name of Danny the Street. Danny really couldn't communicate with people verbally, but he could communicate via signs and stuff like that. And essentially, Danny could teleport from place to place where streets would kind of get out of his way and he could relocate. It was the really positive version of Silent Hill where people were called to it because they were lost or whatever. But Danny would take care of them. And legitimately, there's nothing malicious about it. It's just Danny took care of people.
It's a sentient street.
Yes. Inevitably, Danny would change, though. Danny's been lots of things. There was Danny the Street.
Danny the cul-de-sac.
No,
Danny the alleyway.
There was Danny the alley. There was Danny the world. I think there was Danny the island. At one point, Danny and another character that Grant created left. But now
They left. What did that? Was
they
that
left?
Where they go?
They've left the Earth essentially.
Oh, they went away.
They went away. They did intergalactic travels, but now Danny's back, and Danny has turned himself into Danny Land. It's like Disneyland,
the danniest place on Earth,
but it's Danny.
Whoa. Okay.
And
it's inside the ambulance?
Well,
no, he's inside the Endless Cabaret?
No, Danny created the Endless Cabaret.
Yeah.
Danny is also the ambulance. Danny took the form of the ambulance.
Ah, gotcha.
And Danny also created Danny Land.
Oh my god, okay.
Okay.
So,
well, he got
Danny
sick
the
and tired
dispatcher?
Yes, Danny was the dispatcher. And we get...
So it's like a TARDIS, where you go in and it could be bigger. There's a bigger world inside.
Yeah, exactly.
It's whatever you want.
So while Casey and Flex are kind of walking through Danny Land, he's kind of going over things that are going on, and everybody here is pretty much part of Danny. Danny creates people too to live in Danny Land.
Oh, that's weird.
He creates NPCs.
Yeah, to populate the streets and you have quests.
Because, why else would I have Danny Land if no one's going to be riding these rides?
Exactly. But Flex also covers the fact that, back when Danny was Danny the Street, and he was inviting, and people came to him and hung out there and stuff like that, the Men from Nowhere was an organization that, hated things like happiness or whatever. They showed up, they were going to destroy Danny the Street. That was about the time the Doom Patrol showed up. It was awesome. And then Doom Patrol and Danny the Street ended up hanging out a whole lot more. And just Flex tells her to get on a boat and essentially go learn about herself. And we'll get to that because that's actually some of my favorite images.
Okay.
But like, let's just catch up real quick with Larry Trainor and Robot Man.
Yeah.
So we got Larry Trainor, Negative Man, and Cliff Steele, Robot Man.
Yeah. Right.
And they're kind of catching up, going on with what's been happening. Larry's got these holes in him that like stuff comes out of it, and like he's feeding off negative vibes and stuff like that. And essentially, he kind of talks about the fact that like he has these dreams, and like it's just him and the negative entity, and like how were split, and like that there was something more to everything that was going on.
Is there like a place? Is there like the negative zone where?
Yes.
Okay.
And inevitably, like, Terry comes back, by the way, she's wearing something totally different. She brings pizza. She notices the hole in the wall. She calls it a window. She acts like there's nothing happening there. And that's when a negative entity shows up. He's been searching for Larry. He's been searching all over the place. And he's like, you have to go with us. It's time. Rawr. And then off they go to the negative space, I should say, where they meet Nahal, the negative entity. They go in, and it's a tribunal where they are going to put Larry on trial. And by put him on trial, it's really more or less that they're like being like, you have to rejoin with the negative entity because like you broke negative law
by leaving,
by interfering with negative space.
Right, you're not supposed to be here.
But like you were, so you did anyway. It's all very bizarre.
Is it that like the negative entity will like die without him or something?
No.
Or they're
no,
like
it's
married?
kind of like he crossed a border.
Yeah, it's
and
like
they're
a Jin
fuck
dog.
you.
Yeah. That's where. Thank you. That's where I was going with that. Yes.
It's more an honorary thing for Larry.
I don't know what that is.
But so essentially they're like, look, he has to rejoin, and like Cliff tries to like advocate for him, and they're like, oh no, like half man thing, you don't quite understand what this is. You thought this was like a trial. It's not really. We just kind of call it that. And he's just like, yeah, but
so it is a
It's more
trial.
like a sentencing.
exactly. But like, did you actually think to ask him what he wants? Did you think to ask what Larry would like? And Larry's like, I don't know. Like, and inevitably Larry comes to the conclusion that like what he's missing from his life is like being able to help people. And so he's like, even if my life is forfeit, like if I can help one person, it's worth it to me. And because of that answer, the negative entities are like, cool. Well, we're gonna bind you two again. But like, here's the thing. Whenever you have to release the negative entity to like do things, I think his name's Keeg, you'll go to sleep. And in going to sleep, you'll live a lifetime so that you can have like a life. And like every time that happens, you'll go live a lifetime. It'll be like a different lifetime.
Oh.
And you'll just live it. And then when you wake up, you'll have died.
Oh,
and you'll
that's
come back.
incredibly fucked
Wow.
up.
And he's just like, cool, thanks.
That's
my gift.
In a way, that's sort of immortality.
Yeah.
yeah, or just like a really, really long life that
Right?
you get to do many times.
Right? So
Except it's not the same life.
What life does he live? Where does he go?
variations on his own.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he's not like a cockroach or
No!
a bird.
No!
Don't say that like it's entirely incredulous.
Oh,
This is a very strange book. I feel like that's a fair question.
Yeah, you get many lives. They're all terrible, but you get to live them.
Hey, if you're a cat, it's not a bad life.
So
that's true.
they put the like ceremonial bandages back on him that like contain the energy and stuff like that, and he puts on a very old school version of a Doom Patrol outfit, and they are ready to go.
And he is looking
So
fabulous.
what happens when
Yes.
he takes off the wraps? Like energy shoots out of him? I'm a little confused as to
he's
how
like-
this works.
Like his body's like, see what it looks like.
He's all glowy.
He's all glowy and like lacking certain things, and I have a
see.
feeling it's probably like not healthy for those around him.
Okay. So what is his like ability?
Keeg, the negative
Yeah.
entity, shoots out and can do things.
Okay. Like what?
Like hit people really hard, and because he's energy, he's not quite the same.
Okay.
So like he can do different
so
things.
He's just real strong.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's also looks like that, and he's really fast.
Oh.
Wait, that is Keeg?
That's Keeg.
So Keeg literally was like, hey,
Hey,
you gotta come back, man.
Yeah.
So we can
Come back
merge.
with me.
yeah, come on.
Can't we merge here?
No,
So
no, you got to get in the egg.
okay, so when Keeg comes out of him, he doesn't look like all glowy and skeleton anymore. He looks normal again.
No, he looks like he's just all wrapped up. You can't see it.
Right, and the wrapped up guy just falls asleep.
Yep.
On the spot.
Yep.
Like wherever he is, he just collapses to the ground. Okay, until
Yep.
Keeg gets back in it.
That's right.
Okay.
Like literally, that's it. It's just like
Interesting.
just falls down.
Okay.
It's like good and bad.
yeah.
Yeah, because like the body could go anywhere.
Why does Keeg have to like live inside him? Why can't he just like walk around next to him and hang out with him?
Because like they have to be tethered to him. I don't know.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'd have to live in the negatives place.
Space. So whilst Casey is in the ambulance, in Danny, the Vector show up.
Okay.
And they have been searching for Danny, not for Casey.
Oh.
But Casey led them right to it.
Sure.
Okay.
So while they show up and they bring like their sledgehammers and they're going to do this like old school where they're just like, hey, come on out, and they're like hitting it and stuff like that. So basically you walk up on this whole situation, you see a bunch of crazy looking dudes just like screaming at an ambulance and beating it up.
Yikes.
So think about that going on there.
Here's a gang!
While this is going on, Casey's on like It's a Small World ride, essentially, like learning about the Doom Patrol, and eventually she just gets off. She's like, this is stupid, and she goes and finds a crazy door that's shaped like a mouth, and the teeth are all out on the floor, right? And she's just like, oh, wait a minute.
I had a dream like that.
My teeth.
I didn't have a dream. That actually happened. I lost my tooth, and there was a note inside of it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
She says, good job, and much like, Gandalf, the door's open, and into Moria she goes. And when she gets
now she goes into a world where she can lose all her teeth.
Right? No, she goes into a comic book store, which is actually based off of the comic book store that Gerard Way used to go to.
Okay.
And in there we see like all these like fun little Easter eggs of like Danny versions of things, like Tales from the Danny, or like Danny Man, or
Danny's
like
really into himself.
Uncanny Danny. Or
Danny really doesn't
Danny.
want to encounter copyright
yeah, we got
infringement.
Spider Dan, we got
Dan,
Dungeons and Danny, Danny Quest,
Wow.
Danny the Gathering, Dan Hammer
Yikes.
8000. But that's what Danny is. Like, Danny's just, like, that's what Danny does, right?
Danny's just all about Danny.
Danny!
Well, and a little flex.
And a little flex mental over there. And as she's going through the comic book store, she's looking around and she finds a book, and it says Danny Comics, and it says, new inside.
And then our book becomes Danny Comics.
Yes, which is why this is awesome. This is where I was just like, this book is really cool.
Oh, this is creepy. The cost is one smile.
Exactly, and it's new inside, the answer to everything, Casey.
Yeah. All right.
Oh.
So...
All right. That's worth a smile, I guess.
Literally, this book is about to get, like, the most meta I've seen in a really long time. Because literally, we're reading a comic book. And within that comic book, someone's reading a comic book. And we're going to read that comic book.
Right.
As that character.
Yeah.
So we are
And the comic book
Casey.
is, like, talking to her, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And essentially, like, Danny explains that, listen, I made you, Casey Brink. You were a comic book character back in the day to make people that were happy. And you were really popular, and people really liked you as a character, so you kept going. And then we get this amazing homage to Crisis, where literally the title is like the next set of words. It's genius. It's, it's the Superman holding Supergirl, but it's her holding a clown, and she's got this little sidekick down here.
Why is she holding a clown?
I don't know.
I don't care.
because clowns make people happy.
I guess.
So Danny creates her, right?
Uh-huh.
And then
Casey escapes.
Well,
or
no,
something?
Danny creates her as a comic, right?
Uh-huh.
Then Danny ends up going through all the different like metamorphoses of himself, and he leaves the world with this other character by the name of Crazy Jane. And Crazy Jane and he's in a brick form. He's Danny the Brick at that point. And they go into the universe, and they see all these awesome sights, and they go all these cool places, and they meet this guy named D. And D, says, come on, hang out with me, we'll go to parties and do whatever, right? Blah, 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 blah. Long story short, D wanted to use Danny to kill a god.
Oh.
And in killing a god, something is triggered in Danny, and it messes up Crazy Jane.
Well, which god does
so.
Danny kill?
A space god.
Okay.
Wait, just a space god or like the space god?
No, like a space god. Like, I don't have a name of this god.
Is it one of the new gods?
No.
Or one of the old gods?
No.
Or is it unrelated to
It's unrelated.
any prior god that we've ever heard?
Is it a negative god?
Definitely not. There it is.
Oh.
Oh, he's all blue.
Yeah.
Gross.
This messes up Crazy Jane, too, and all this stuff. And, when Danny awakes...
Why did she want to kill a god?
She didn't.
Oh.
D did.
D did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
D wanted that was just D's motivation. I'm going to do
Okay.
that. So it messes up Crazy Jane, so she leaves. When Danny wakes up, he's alone, but he realizes that he's stronger than he ever was before, and he, zooms off. He comes back to Earth, and he realizes that he has the ability now to create people. And since, since Casey was the first comic creation he ever made, he made her real.
Okay.
Okay.
And he, let her loose into the world. He was just there you go.
Fully grown?
Yeah.
With, like, memories of being, like, a baby, or...
Yeah, he gives her all kinds of crazy, like, memories and stuff like that.
So she doesn't know.
No, she didn't know. She has no idea, right? But he's like, he tells her that her code name was Space Case, and, like, essentially he kind of gives her origin story. Like, and as the memories are coming back, he's like, your scars will come back, and she gets a scar on her face, and she's like, forget this, I'm out of here, this is stupid, and it's not real, and I'm leaving.
But I don't want scars.
Right, and that's when her, like, Teddy Ruxpin Shira character shows up, and, like, hugs her, and is just all excited. And,
don't you love me? Yay, we're back together again. That's her Jindar.
Well, yeah, except all it says is fug.
So it's like Snarf?
Kinda.
Except Snarf actually talked.
Yeah.
Well,
he would just end things with Snarf.
Right.
Snarf.
But as she's trying to leave, Dannyland is falling apart because it's being destroyed from the outside. All the Vector want is for the doors to open and for them to get inside. Because, as I mentioned before, they're looking for an endless source of stress-free meat, and Danny can create people.
Right.
And so
they're
their plan is
the
people inside Dannyland forever.
Why don't they just ask Danny to make cows or something? If Danny can make people, Danny can make cows. You don't have to eat people.
Well, it doesn't matter. To them, it's all the same thing. They're not real.
But are more delicious.
Because, like, Casey's different.
Right.
Casey, because Casey was allowed to go and be free and leave.
Out in the real world.
Yeah, everyone else in here, like, I'm sure they have personalities and I'm sure they're very nice, but, like, the question comes down to, are they real or are they not?
And also, like, how delicious are they?
Well,
do memories and experience make you more tasty? I think they do.
So as she's trying to leave, like, she falls down because her leg is gone, because as she's getting her memories back, she's getting her injuries back, and she lost her leg.
Yikes.
I was going to ask, because, like, the baby inside that picture had like, a robotic leg.
Yep, she loses her leg, and upon opening the door, the Vector get her, and they take her away, and they're going to put her someplace.
Okay.
I've
seen this image before.
Right? Yeah. By the way, Sam's at home. He's trying to, like, his kid is all into the occult right now. Okay. And he's, like, trying to better himself through magic so that his mom will come back, because she's like, that's why mom left, because we weren't bettering ourselves, and, like, we can't even talk to each other. Enough. Yeah, and, like, or whatever. He's just lashing out, and that's the best way he can think to do it, and, like, he makes a joke about, like, his dad doing karate, because his dad used to do karate, I guess, and, like, it's bizarre, but, like, they don't have a very good bond, the two of them. Like, they don't talk a whole lot.
Why don't you just go do some karate?
Yeah.
This is what you're best at.
Yeah. He's just
line your chi.
His dad's like, we don't talk about my karate, okay?
Whoa.
You remember what happened the last time we talked about my karate?
Your mom left.
I killed your mom.
No.
Karate chop.
So essentially, like, they have this really nice conversation where, like, Sam essentially boils over at the end. He's just like, your mom's never coming back. Just get over it.
Yeah.
All right,
I made sure of that.
Damn it, Ethan.
Yeah. I don't know why I went there.
Yeah, wow.
How would you know? Pretty sure she's not coming.
Yeah, I just had a feeling.
I don't know.
So Casey wakes up in this, like, prison cell, and there's, like, another robot there.
But not Robot Man.
No, it is a man robot, but it's not a robot man.
Oh.
It's just a robot that looks like a man. It was built by Niles Calder in these, like, random, like, individual pages you'll see throughout, who was the old leader of Doom Patrol, and it's meant to look like him.
Okay.
But he's, like, destroyed. And so Casey ends up taking his leg and, like, trying to affix it to her stump.
Like you would, yeah.
Yeah. And...
Well, it looks like it works.
Yeah, and that's about the time that she finds out that she has, like, surprise lightning. Like, she has lightning powers.
Okay.
Surprise lightning!
It's like, got it. She's the Emperor.
That's cool. So she fuses her leg on with her lightning powers or something?
Yeah, or like she activates it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we find out that her little friend has, like, an organic tape deck in its body, and it plays tapes that help her to like learn about her power. They're like, it's like a manual. It's like an audio manual for her powers.
Who's doing the voice?
Only it's gross.
I assume it's Danny.
Yeah.
I assume it's Flex Mentalo.
No.
Hello. By now you've assumed that there's all this going on.
Well, you can assume...
Flip the tape over to learn more.
Exactly.
That was gross.
So it's like Superman talking to his dad, Jor-El, telling him about
stuff.
Except
it's Danny talking to Casey.
Yeah.
And Danny, we assume, is something of a British accent. We know that Morrison based Danny off of a gay actor. I'm not sure if he's an actor or not, in England.
Right.
And so, like, the way he's written... I assume he's British.
Yeah.
So anyway,
does he call a trunk a boot?
Well, I'm sure he would if he had the chance, but he calls a lot of people like love and stuff like that.
Does he call a garage a car hold?
if he had the opportunity, I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would also call a flashlight a torch, but we don't have that right now, so who cares? So anyway, she learns how to use her lightning power. She uses it to, like, get the doors open. And then, like, she's looking for a way out. Oh, by the way, she meets a guy named Ricardo who knows Danny from the time he was in Island. Or, like, the time of Ulan Island. He worked on there, but he knows Danny. He's looking for Danny.
Did Danny also create Ricardo?
No, Ricardo's a person.
Okay.
Most of the people are people.
Right. Okay.
How do we know the difference?
Well, we're going to have to find that out later on.
Oh.
But, like, Casey's just trying to get out, and Ricardo's like, we gotta find Danny. She's like, we're gonna stay the hell away from Danny, because, like, that's wigging me out.
Because that was real messed up.
And I didn't care
Last
for that.
time I saw Danny, I lost my fucking leg.
Exactly, and I found out I wasn't real.
Yeah.
But I am real, but I don't know. But
Yeah.
some of these memories.
But I don't have, my past isn't real, or some of it's not real, or something.
Or who knows? They find Danny, and he's all hooked up to, like, these, like, crazy cables and stuff like that, and, like,
they're
all
like
Casey...
sucking the people out of him?
No, actually. They're using that to, like, fuel him.
Oh.
No, they're actually using a conveyor belt into these, like, turbines. That's where the people go, like, when they come out.
Oh my god.
And it's, like, with the cows and stuff.
Oh my god, it's rotating knives, except they're spikes.
Yeah.
It's that Monty Python sketch.
Yeah, it's a disaster. And there's, like, grade A Danny on the shelf there, and you're just like...
Well, why does Danny keep producing people? Why does he just stop?
I think they're, like, forcing him to do it.
Ah, okay.
So anyway, essentially, we find out that in order for them to solve this... Bear with me here.
Oh, now I have to bear with you?
Danny has, like, the powers of, like, flight and teleportation and all that stuff, right? But if Casey's driving him, they'll have the ability to go back in time. And so they have to go...
But only if they drive 88 miles an hour.
But they gotta go back in time, and they gotta get there, and, like, before all this goes down, and fix it. But before they do that, they gotta go get the rest of the Doom Patrol, but she's gotta suit up in her space case outfit, so it's in the drawer, and she puts it on, and she's gotta breathe psycho gas so that she doesn't go crazy, because it can make you nuts when you go back in time.
Oh.
So she's gotta, like...
She's gotta breathe psycho gas so she doesn't go crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, I don't know why
it's like nerve gas. It doesn't give you nerves.
Right?
It destroys your nerves.
Exactly. Then we get, like, the traditional sort of, like, oh, and here's the villain, and it's, like, and he has a clone of Casey who's evil.
What?
And...
who's this?
It's Torminox!
The guy from
Torminox.
the Smile book?
Yep.
From the book.
Yeah, the villain.
Comic.
The villain's shown up.
Okay. Wait, so if they go back in time and stop Danny from killing the god, Danny won't have the power to create people.
They're not going back that far.
They're just going back to before the ambulance got beat
They're
up.
They're going to pull a Marty McFly, and they're not even going to go back that far.
Oh, jeez. 10 minutes ought to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
But first, they gotta go get the team back together.
Get the team, so that when they get there, then they can change.
Getting the band back together,
right?
Plus some new folks. So they go grab Sam. They're like, Sam, you gotta go because there's gonna be a lot of hurt people.
And Sam's like, what? Why? Well, I have nothing to do with this,
right? But
no, you do though. You're
Sam's
my partner.
Just like, you know what? You could just tell me later. And he gets in, and then he gets taken to Dannyland, where, like, there are still people in there. In fact, they run into Flex Mentallo, who's dead now.
No.
Yeah, the Vector did something to him, and it killed him.
Wow.
But, like, so Sam's trying to help everybody else, and the ambulance shows up into the negative space where all the negative entities have left, and, like, they get, Negative Man and Robot Man, and, like, they're like, whoa, it's Danny, cool. And they're like, come on, we gotta go. I'll explain later.
So we only have 2 people from the original Doom Patrol, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Because now she's part of Doom Patrol.
Right, so now I guess we have 3.
Yeah, and Danny.
Oh, Danny was on Doom Patrol?
Well, yeah, they lived on him.
Right. He's like an honorary member.
Yeah, and Niles Calder's been...
Okay, but there's like 4 more Doom Patrol members, right?
Depending on the book. Originally there was only 3.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
I'm sorry, she's a space astronaut now?
So... Yeah, presumably Terry Nunn finds Lotion the cat who ran off during the attack that the Vector, did on Casey's apartment. And she finds Lotion and she, pours out this white stuff, which she then feeds to him, and then he turns into a cat man. That'll be addressed in another book.
What? Not here? I'm sorry. So, Terry is also a Danny creation?
No.
No?
She's just the thing that's weird.
Yes.
Okay.
Never mind.
Well, how about this?
Where'd
Up
she
to
come
date,
from?
we haven't exactly found out who Terry is.
Okay.
But she turns Lotion into a cat man.
So, yeah, all we've seen at this point is an astronaut walks up to the cat, pours white stuff out, and the cat turns into a cat person.
Yeah.
Was that on purpose?
Presumably, to fill you in, Lotion ends up being sentient as well, and like is in love with Casey, and they make out a little.
Oh my god.
So Casey turns into a furry, not on purpose.
No, I mean like she loves her cat, and then she gets a chance to love her cat.
So it turns out she
Okay,
really loves her cat.
that is no.
That's
yes,
weird.
I love my pet. I am not then going to make love to my pet.
It's just, I think it's like a moment of passion. She's in a really weird place when that happens.
Yeah, she'd have to be, right? Okay.
Like, really
If
weird.
she wasn't before, after,
Really?
certainly.
So, anyway.
This is going off the rails.
No,
It's only been going off the rails. It's been constantly going off the rails since it's
I don't think there are rails.
No, I took you guys off road with this one. So they have this like really fun scene between Robot Man and Casey Bragan about
Where she makes out with him too.
No, he's just like, Robot Man's like, and who are you? Because they really haven't met.
Right.
And she gets this really awesome panel where she just goes, my name is Casey Brink and I drive the motherfucking ambulance.
I also picked up your pieces.
Yeah.
To Humpty Dumpty your ass.
Exactly. So they go back into the past, and when they get there, like Danny's there and is beat up and is in like the mobile slaughter unit X-19.
Okay.
But they haven't like hooked him up just yet. But Vectra are there. Like they knew they were coming.
Oh.
And how did they know they were coming? Well, because you see, when Danny was being forced to produce things, he ended up producing Torminox, who was the villain from that Space Case book, who was actually Casey's dad.
Oh my god.
So, like, Danny just plopped him out, and then they made, like, a fake Casey because Torminox forced him to do that, and they also made, like, a fake ambulance so that he could also go back in time.
Ah! Oh my god.
But how would the fake ambulance go back and... Oh, because the fake Casey drove him. Never mind. I'm caught up.
Because that's what happened.
So wait, now there's 3 ambulances?
Yes.
It's got original timeline ambulance and then 2 ambulances from the future that have come back.
Yes.
Okay.
But one of them is not Danny?
One of them
is fake Danny.
One of them's like the generic off-brand
Yeah.
ambulance.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it
So it
can't
just says
make
ambulance
anything.
on the side.
Echnolubma.
Yeah, you got it.
That's amazing.
So then basically there's a big fight.
Of course.
There's just a big fight that goes on. And you can see the negative entity like shoot out of Negative Man, and there he is. He falls asleep, right?
Yeah, he goes to sleep, yeah.
And then
But he falls asleep in a very nice...
Yeah, he like sits down.
He's like, oh, we're gonna do this? Okay.
He doesn't like tip over and like crash into something.
I'm sure he could though, but and this is about the point that like Danny's like, okay, Casey, here's the plan. You are going to go into Other Me, and along with like Sam and like Ricardo, and they're going to get everybody out of Dannyland, and they're going to pull them into current me, not past me.
From the future me.
No, they're going to pull everyone from past Danny into future Danny.
Okay.
Right.
And that's just the plan.
I got it.
All right, and then when that's all said and done, or while it's going on, Casey is going to go into the comic book store and set it on fire and destroy that Danny.
The past Danny.
Yes.
But then if she destroys the past Danny, won't future Danny cease to exist?
No.
But then you've got a paradox. How could future Danny exist if he was destroyed in the past?
Because...
Okay.
Because he's already there.
I mean, because Danny is a character in this book and exists, and is like a creature that can manifest people and so forth, so why would I ask that question? Yeah. All right.
Things start going to hell out during the fight. Robot Man is kind of being wrecked by Torminox. But, like, he's still, like, swinging and quipping and doing the whole thing, and that's when the negative entity really, like, shows, like, what he's made of. Like, he's
he could
super
just
strong.
pass through, smash everybody
But
instantly.
evil Casey's smarter than all that, and she puts a gun to Larry Trainor's head because they can't exist now without the other, right?
Right. That is smart.
And that's about the time that future Danny produces one more thing, which is Casey Brink's mom, who died trying to stop her husband, who was evil, by like flying into the sun in a spaceship, I think.
Oh. How would that stop him?
I don't... I'm sure there's some other part of the plan, but like that was how she died.
Okay.
So right now Torminox is torn.
Yes. Well, he's just like, my wife is here.
Yeah.
And I love her. Yeah.
And she's distracting me. Okay.
Yeah, with her wifiness,
Right.
I guess. By the way, Flex Mentallo is in Dannyland, in past Dannyland. He's been, like, stunned, but he's not dead yet, but he will die. But don't worry, Ricardo's going to give him a magic massage using the goop from the little, like, sidekick thing.
From Fug?
Oh.
Yeah, and it'll save him.
No.
Sam's like,
Sam is grossed out,
Sam
much like we are.
Yeah, Sam's like,
No.
Sam's
Oh.
like, I'm gonna go help the fake people instead. That seems a lot easier to deal with, honestly, right now. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know why you brought me. None of these people can be saved by like normal medicine.
no, they can.
Oh,
All the
yeah?
other people can.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah.
Even though they're not real, they technically have real physiology, so he can help.
I guess.
Exactly. So Casey sets this place on fire, and like she like has this like moment because here's the thing: Casey is put together of like all of Danny's hopes and happiness for humanity, and evil Casey is created from all of his fears of her and her power and like what she means. And, like, that really upsets Casey because it seems like Danny has doubts about her. And then, like, she's like, no, I get it. I get why, like, you made me and, like, why she's the way she is because, like, I choose to, like, always go to the light. And, like, Danny's super proud of her and then she sets him on fire. And it's really gross.
Yeah.
Like, it's just really gross looking.
It's kind of like in Evolution when they light the match.
Yeah.
They throw it and it just grows.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happens. Like, it explodes and then, like, they're like, we gotta go because don't forget they're still in space.
And then it Akira's out.
Yeah, pretty much. To finish up the Torminox and his wife's story, like, they have a touching moment where she's just like, we can fix the virus that made you into this evil monster, rah! And, like, evil Casey's like, this is stupid, and, like, shoots her not mom.
Right.
And then that gun, like, explodes in her face, like, thus knocking her out for a while.
And then Torminox kills evil Casey
No.
for destroying Gloria.
Nope. Instead, the two of them are going to fade away and die because, like, they have to because they're part of Danny in this instance.
Oh.
Also, just because it's...
Well, why doesn't Casey fade away and die?
Because she was, like, created a long time ago and she's real.
Oh. What
And,
about
like-
evil Casey? Does she fade away and die?
No, she comes back.
But she wasn't created a long time ago.
Yeah, she was just recently created.
I think that they just explode because they just explode. Because,
Yeah.
I think they explode because they kiss.
Yeah.
That's the virus that he was infected with.
I-
Once you kiss your true love, you explode.
Maybe
Right.
he chooses to explode.
Well, it's also, like,
She's dying.
they give this speech where they're like, you don't need us anymore.
Ah.
You're all grown up, you're good. So, like, it's very
okay.
touching. It's very comic book.
Yeah.
It's very comic book, and then they explode, and then they gotta go, and they make their daring escape, and everyone in Vector's like, oh crap, we're going down, and that's about the time that the, like, fake generic ambulance shows up, driven by the evil Casey Brink.
Right.
And essentially it looks like everybody explodes, but don't worry, they're totally fine, and they land in the desert.
Okay.
And-
On Earth?
On Earth!
Okay.
Somewhere in New Mexico! Where there's, like, a big, like, sign and on a fence that says, like, Janestown, Church of the Multiform. And they're like, huh. And, like, Sam knows this place. And Robot Man's like, I'm going in! And he, like, rips open the gate and he, like, starts marching in.
Okay.
And what we find is there is a cult there being led by a chick with purple hair who happens to be Crazy Jane. And essentially these, like, 64 people are going to become, like, one with her. And they're like, it's very David Koresh.
Yeah.
But, it's like they got a compound, they got the whole thing. So this is where we first see Crazy Jane come back. Crazy Jane, again, created in here. She got her abilities during the, like, Dominator thing event in DC. There was, like, a gene bomb, and, like, she was part of that. She gets hit by it, and she ends up getting 64 separate personalities, each personality having its own power.
Invasion, guys, come on. Remember the racist aliens?
Yeah.
It's called Invasion.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks, off-screen Sal.
By the way, if you guys want to learn more about the Dominators, you can check out this other back issues where these two actually learned all about it in
Yeah.
Invasion. Not that Crazy Jane's going to play a part, but
Right.
but she still is a part of that, and that's where she gets her powers from. So
What-
anyway, by the way, the importance of this character not only being in this book, but the reason Gerard Way is definitely focusing on her, making sure that she's in the book, because she has multiple personalities. She legitimately has multiple personalities. It's a mental health thing, right? In Grant Morrison's run, she and Robot Man have a relationship. It's on again, off again. He has a really hard time.
But who does he have a relationship with?
All of them.
I am speechless. That's very tiring.
But, like, for him, it's difficult to understand because don't forget, A, he's a robot.
Right.
He has a body, like the mind of a man.
Yeah.
But still, like...
With the stamp of a robot.
That's why he can have with all of them.
Yeah, that's why he can have a relationship with 64 different
Right,
persons.
no, but like it's something he struggles with is understanding her mental illness in general, and it inevitably ends up like causing a lot of fights and stuff like that, and that's how they kind of like break off.
Well, it's not a mental illness for her though; it's like a power.
Yeah, but it still is
like
a
an
mental
ability.
Yes, but it is
But it
still
does
a
mess
mental
her
illness,
up.
and in fact, at one point she gets put on a world that has no superheroes.
Okay.
And is diagnosed with schizophrenia and put in a mental asylum. And then finally, like, someone saves her. It's actually Cliff shows up and he brings her back.
Okay.
So, like, she's experienced the gambit of this whole thing.
Yeah.
So.
I also now get Janestown.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the man they call Jane.
No, not that.
So anyway, the plan here is they're going to get hit with this gene bomb, much like before, and it'll merge them all together, and isn't that cool? And that's when Robot Man shows up.
It won't then split them off into, like, 64 more persons?
Right?
And then it's 64 squared, which I can't even...
Math, it's bad. So then Robot Man shows up, and he's just like, I can't believe you're here. Like, what are you doing here? I haven't seen you in forever. And she's just like, okay, really, I don't know how you got here, and second of all, you seem to know me. Who are you?
Uh-oh.
And he's just like, seriously? And, like, so she starts freaking out, and she has, like, these, like, telekinetic powers, right? And that's about the time that Negative Man steps in, and he's like, he uses his powers to put Cliff into her mind so they can talk there.
In her mind.
In her mind.
Why can't they just talk in person? I guess because she's about to kill him.
Yeah, because, like, she's not herself, so I think Negative Man assumes something is going on with her personality, so Cliff needs to get in there.
Okay.
And, like, try to find another one.
Huh.
So he comes in, and it's a subway, and he meets Jane, and she explains that she's like, okay, so, all right, when I was with Danny, and Danny was used to kill that god, like, that violence and the god's, like his blood and like, the whole thing, like, created
some part of him imprinted onto Danny.
No! Danny was fine. Danny's just got more powers, but Jane ended up creating another personality, a 65th personality named Dr. Harris, who is super violent and a total bitch, and is going to, like, essentially is going to cure Jane. And her plan is...
By killing her?
No, by taking all 64 of the other personalities and shooting them into these other people, thus killing all those people.
Shooting them into other people?
She's going to use the bomb. She figures if she uses the bomb, the 64 personalities will go into those people.
Wait, so the 64 people that are in Janestown are legit people, and the 64 personalities inside Jane are just all inside of her?
Yes.
I thought the 64 people that were there
were like a manifestation
were
of
the
her.
manifestation
But
of
they
her
will be
personality.
in a minute.
Yes.
And then they'll die.
Yeah, I
but
guess.
not Jane.
Right. Well, not Dr. Harris.
Not Dr. Harris.
Or
But
they won't die.
she'll be the last
Dr.
one.
Harris doesn't care if they die or they don't.
Okay.
And the reason she thinks this is because, like, that's the plan she came up with, and she learned that essentially all the personalities in Jane's head live on a subway train, and they just move constantly, so Dr. Harris can't get them. Because in the past, she's gotten them, and then she interrogates them to get information that she can use against people, because they're more connected to people. And so she ends up, like, all the personalities end up lying and saying, we know how the gene bomb was created. And, like, we'll give you the blueprints. And so she does, but what they really gave her was the blueprints for a psychic bomb that will kill the dominant personality.
Oh.
Which is Dr. Harris.
Now, this is where you're going to have a problem with it, because they say it's genetically encoded to kill the dominant personality.
Yeah.
Well, it's a gene bomb, so...
I mean, the gene bomb
that
never
doesn't
made any
exist
goddamn
But
anyway.
it's not a
sense
gene
anyway.
bomb. This is a psychic bomb.
Right.
A psychic
This
gene
is
bomb.
psychic
And also
bomb this time.
uses genetics to affect
Yeah.
your psychology.
So anyway, so they think, though, that these people are going to get hit by a bomb, so the rest of the group is like, we gotta stop the bomb! So, like, Ricardo and Flex Mentalo are in Danny, and they, like, fly up. They get Danny to use his, like, rainbow unicorn powers to, like, fly up, and, like, Flex Mentalo's going to Dr. Strangelove this bomb on down. But, like, Jane is like, you can't stop the bomb. You have to let it hit her. You have to do it.
Right, that's how we kill her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, like, Robot Man ends up getting pulled out just in time to send Negative Man to stop Flex Mentalo. And in fact, the bomb hits, and it does kill the personality.
Okay.
And, like, Jane is returned to normal, and everyone else in the room wakes up. Because Dr. Harris, among developing these, like, telekinetic powers, also developed these mind control powers and was controlling the whole cult into staying there and hanging out with her.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Including Sam's wife.
Right, because I saw him talking to a woman.
Yep. So Sam finds his wife.
We go back to the cult thing.
So back to the cult thing, and like so Sam's gonna take his wife home, and the rest of Doom Patrol is.
So he didn't karate chop her to death.
No,
All right,
he didn't.
I was wrong.
Exactly. You were. And the rest of like the Doom Patrol, essentially, they're all gonna take all these people home. Casey's gonna drive them wherever they need to be. And
she can't fit all 63 people.
Sure, they can. It's Dannyland.
Oh, it's Dannyland. That's right.
And they can ride fun rides and eat delicious
woo!
candy and
Exactly.
have a great time.
And then we end the book starting the next arc, which actually there's like a step in between where they do like a little one-shot thing, where we see Terry Nunn introducing this like food product, this white food product to these like investors. Oh. And essentially it's a zero cholesterol, non-trans fat, gluten-free, hypoallergenic, vegan, all-natural food additive that instantly makes your food healthier when you sprinkle it on there. Mm-hmm. And like, so that is...
Or it turns you into a cat man.
Or it turns your cat into a man.
Or it turns your cat into a man.
If you're a cat man, or if you're a cat,
into something else.
It would probably turn a person into a next generation.
Next evolution of man. An X-Man.
So like that
we'll find out.
That's the next art. Again, it's surrounding food.
Yeah, it's another food.
So there you go, guys.
Wait a minute. What about the city in the friggin' Hero?
It doesn't matter. That's dead.
That was a previous adventure.
But yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? That wasn't even a very good sandwich. He didn't even want to eat it. He threw it away.
Yeah.
It tasted like garbage.
It's so weird that they would introduce that crazy idea and then nothing, no explanation.
So
yeah.
That's
no,
so
later
weird.
on in like the next arc, we delve into the fact A, that there's this creepy food thing, B, that is Casey Brink real or not? Because the fact is, like, Danny needs her nearby for long periods of time to, like, recuperate and stuff like that. But as a person, she feels tethered to this now. But she's not a person, but she is a person. Yeah. We'll also see Larry more and more having the negative entity out of his body so that he can live these normal lives. So he's, like, becoming addicted to, like, living lives.
The negative entity? Or
no, Larry himself.
He wants to experience the lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, I would too.
Right?
Yeah,
so,
like, hey, I'm going to take a nap real quick and live an entire lifetime.
Yeah. Hey, you go do my laundry, Keeg. Well, apparently, like, Keeg likes to watch certain... No, Larry likes to watch certain shows, so Keeg's out most of the time, and then Larry will, like, watch, like, the Antique Roadshow or whatever.
Like, you got to come back before...
That's on.
For my program.
Because I want to watch that, but I also want to live this life.
But then I want to go back to being in another life.
It's just DVR, man. Jesus.
No.
Does the length of time that Keeg is out of him affect the length of the life that he's living?
I don't know.
It would have to, right? Because otherwise he could just do it like 1,000 times in an hour. And
right? Maybe he just gets a more juicy life.
But how in the world does that relate to anything? Like, if he was out for a much longer time, because I don't think he would live to like 300 years old.
Maybe
he just gets more glimpses. He has more memories of it then. So there you go, guys. That's Doom Patrol, brick by brick. This is one of those books that, for me, you have to read it yourself.
Yeah.
The art...
That's a nightmare.
I think it's a great book. The art...
mean, it seems cool, but
right?
It's also, really...
It's out there.
It's really
so to get it, I am glad you explained this to us.
Right?
It does make sense, but I understand. Like, I think it would make more sense if we actually...
You got to actually read it. You also just be on board to accept what's in here. There are a lot of callbacks in here. A lot of people who are fans of the Morrison run say this did a really good job of like continuing that feel. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people who are new to this is a really cool place to jump on board because Casey Brink is a really awesome gateway character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she is our eyes into
she's a gateway character.
Yeah.
Oh, it's dangerous.
I know, right?
She's like pot.
She's like the pot of the Doom Patrol.
Yep, that's what she is.
Yep.
She's the pot of the Doom Patrol. Good call, guys. Good call. Good contribution.
We've deciphered this book. Good message.
And Terry is the drug dealer. Because she keeps on putting out giant things of white powder.
Right? I don't know what she is. I can't wait to find out. Again, this book is ongoing. This just recently came out. If you want to pick up your own copy of Volume 1 Brick by Brick, it's in the description box down below. And don't forget, if you want to check out Milk Wars, now you're all caught up. You can see what madness the Justice League is in for by hanging out with the Doom Patrol.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be something.
Right? Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and watching. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ben.
Bye.